Hi YouTube, this is Tyler from Legendary Vegan Art. Today I'm going to be inking this drawing I did a few days ago. It is the character Clash from the 80s cartoon Jem and the Holograms. I'm going to show you a little bit about how I do things, and I'm also going to be experimenting with some new techniques. So normally I like to use these Micron pens while I ink. Give me a nice defined regular line. So for some parts of this, that's what I'm going to be relying on. And a little later, I'm going to be applying ink directly with a brush. I haven't done that before, so it'll be a good learning experience. I always like to try new things and add new techniques to my arsenal. And after this is all done, I will be adding colors in a later video with some watercolors. I'm actually waiting for them to arrive in the mail, so even if I wanted to do that right away, which I do, I couldn't. So I actually got some watercolors the other day to experiment with them, because I haven't used them much before. And I found they were really fun to color drawings with. But, as you can tell from the channel title, I am a vegan, I am opposed to animal cruelty, and it turns out a lot of watercolor paints have animal byproducts in them. Apparently ox gall is used as a dispersant in a lot of them so that the color lays down easily, and ox gall is most definitely not cruelty-free. So I had to look up what brands did not contain animal ingredients, and special order some of those online. For those of you curious, Holbein, the Japanese company, is free from animal products, so I ordered a couple of those. And I also found another company called Colors of Nature that looks promising, and I ordered a few of those. That's a dedicated vegan company. They offer natural pigments, most of them earth-based, which are great because they're very, very light-fast and definitely cruelty-free. Let's get this ink going on here. So when those show up in the mail, I will be sure to give you my verdict. I had another little sort of vegan scare with my inks because it came to my attention very recently that India ink is shellac-based, and that's an insect secretion, and also not cruelty-free. So I needed something waterproof to use with watercolors, and acrylic ink sounded promising, and I actually went to the Speedball website and contacted them, asking them if they had any animal byproducts in their ink, and someone got back to me, said they didn't, so hooray. Right. Now, as you can see, I've been using the markers on this area where I want to keep the line width regular, and since this skirt area is going to be black, I have a little more freedom to experiment in case this doesn't go exactly according to plan. It's going to be no big loss. Okay. This is going to work out just fine. Stop my hand shaking. Okay. No pressure. No worries. Right. Get a little more ink on here. This watercolor paper is just drinking up this ink. It feels very dry when I'm painting, or inking. Whatever it is. This feels like sort of midway between acrylics and inks. Alright, this is a little trickier to control line widths than I had hoped. Partially because of the dryness of the paper. But once again, this area is going to be filled in with black, so I don't mind too much. Had another little vegan scare when I found out that a lot of watercolor paper is sized with gelatin. The sizing is what prevents the water and the paint from soaking in and sort of making everything buckle as it dries. So I had to look up companies that use starch-based sizing rather than gelatin. Fortunately, the gelatin seems to be more common in the fancy artisanal handmade papers, so that's not too much of a worry. Right now I'm using some Strathmore watercolor paper. Okay, this was once a 11 by 15 sheet cut in half, so it's 11 by 7.5. Alright, it's a lot easier to draw a line, a sort of natural direction that my handedness sort of demands. Well, that line's way too thick, but I'll be filling in this area anyway. Live and learn. One thing I've learned as an artist is, well, it's very frightening to sort of try new things, and it's really important to get over the fear of messing up a drawing or a painting, because if you live with that fear, you're just never going to grow. You gotta mess up, you gotta try new things with gusto. Alright, I'm not loving this ink, so I'm going to switch back to my markers. And always got to be ready to sort of roll with the punches. Be using that brush and the ink to fill in areas. I wasn't sure yet whether I was going to fill that in with paint or with my pens or with ink, but given the heaviness of some of these lines, it seems that decision gets made for me. Like I said, when these sort of little accidents happen, you can view it as a hindrance, or you can just view it as some of the hard decisions being made for you. Help you keep your sanity that way. Alright. Like I discovered with the brush earlier, it's always easier to draw a line in certain directions according to your handedness. So I'm always rotating the paper, trying to get the nicest vantage point. On top of that, the sort of rough nature of this watercolor paper is making really smooth lines a little hard to achieve, but once again, it's just going to contribute to the overall look of the finished product, so we're just gonna roll with it. I don't mind. Live and learn. Alright, drawing this one sort of against the grain of the paper, but what can you do? Alright. I sort of skip around on the drawing, sort of getting the parts that catch my fancy, so sorry if you're more of an orderly person and wants me to do everything in a certain order. It's not going to happen. You gotta do what you know how to do. Do the parts that sort of call out to you. The parts that you sort of, you know how they should look. And the parts that you're not sure about, it's okay to put them on the back burner. Wait till a solution sort of comes to you. Or if it doesn't, wait till you have to do it and then see what happens. Alright. What do we do next? The exact details of both the hands and the feet sort of scares me. Maybe I should have rendered those a little more carefully when I was doing the pencils, but I'll deal with that later. I'm definitely going to work on the hair, because that's going to call for some crisp, solid lines the same way I've been doing, so let's do that. If you're worried about some of these pencil lines still being in place, I drew this with a watercolor pencil and not a regular one, so I'll sort of work with the watercolors later rather than against them. I've had some problems in the past when I try and erase over my inks to get rid of the stray pencil marks. It sort of lifts up a bit of the ink and lightens it, then I have to go over that again. That's just sort of a pain. So, trying a lot of new things here, hoping it works out for the best. And time, and I guess viewers will be the judge of that. Man, getting the shapes of these sort of cartoon character hair or anime hair, it's really pointy and spiky. Always used to be hard for me. Well, it still is, but you just have to practice it a lot. Just keep doing it until you get it right. Be very cognizant of when you do a drawing, you kind of got to do a sort of personal post-mortem on it. See what you like about it. See what you don't. See what you can change next time. Try and get out of my own light here. Hopefully my camera's not shaking too much. I'm using an old smartphone on a sort of gooseneck arm clamped to my table, and unfortunately my table's a little rickety, so hope that won't be too much of a problem. Just gonna take things slow, get it done right, done at the right pace. Hope it turns out for the best. And if it doesn't, I hope we learn a good lesson. I know I just talked about this, but overcoming your fear of getting things wrong is one of the most important things you can do as an artist, or work on it rather, because you're never really over it. It's a struggle every day. Just gotta do it. Right, gotta switch to a finer point here. Get these interior hair lines, these bangs. It's important to have a lot of life in your line art, to know when to vary the line width. Adds a lot of personality and a lot of personal touch. You can do that both with different sized pens, or you can do it by just going over your lines again, selectively thickening your lines. And maybe if I might want to make this one a little thicker, I just make this a little more broad. You gotta be really careful doing that, because I mean, you're thickening this by less than the original line width, and just a little tiny bit can make a big sort of perceived difference. Just gotta be very careful. Alright, I'm gonna work on this face. See, let's do this earring while I'm here. Big hoop. Let's see, so this part's in front, so I'm gonna draw this sort of like that. Another thing I try and be careful about. Man, these details are hard in this rough paper. Sorry to interrupt myself. Anyway, something I try and be mindful of when I'm drawing is to watch out for tangents. When two lines sort of seem to overlap each other, you can use this to work for you or against you. So I gotta make this tuft of hair overlap that earring to sort of push it into the background and push the hair forwards. If you have two lines meet, then the detail sort of gets lost. Alright, let's do the edge of the face here. Getting this just right. Really says a lot to sort of define the character. Line of the side of the face. Whew, always makes me tense. Gotta be careful. figure out ahead of time what lines you want to define with your actual outlines and what details you want to define later just with color and shading. And whew, okay, I'm going to back off that just a little bit. Getting spooked. Like I said, you gotta do what you know. Leave the scary parts till later. You're gonna have to do it eventually. But there's no shame in backing off for just a little while. Let's get these bangles just right. So the character Clash wears these little bracelets with many symbols on them that she likes to smash together just to make a pest of herself, be irritating. See, here's another place where line width is going to help line width and tangents are going to help push things into the background or foreground. You're going to have to be really mindful of what appears to be in front of other things. And color and tone can help this a lot too. Let's see how this looks. It's important to sort of take a breather every now and then, view your picture at a distance, or maybe get up and look at it in a mirror. See if any weird sort of idiosyncrasies pop out at you with when you can look at it with fresh eyes. Okay. Let's work on these hands. Definitely should have taken a little more time to render these more nicely in the pencil phase, but whatever, we're going for it. I can do this. If it's not perfect, I can live with myself. It's just a fun picture. From a fun show. Unfortunately, I did not discover Gem and the Holograms until only recently, when it got added to Netflix quite a while ago. But just slightly the wrong age, so that I sort of missed it when it was on TV. Never really caught the reruns. Don't know if I would have liked it when I was a kid, but I love it now. It's crazy about the fashion, the colors, the music. It's very nostalgic for me. Okay. Take this line here and sort of fade out that end of that line. It's a little weird to me. Let's see if I can nudge this around just by thickening these lines a little. Work on a different spot, come back again in a sec with a fresh perspective. Alright. So you can save this. Okay. Okay, let's get another really fine pen. Look at these facial features. Thing I probably don't want to do is do the outline of the lips in this hard black ink. I think that'll over-define the area. It's something I'm always cautious of doing. It's usually best to do that in just color and some more subtle form of shading. And often it's best not to do that with a nose either, but I think in this picture it'll work. So these eyelashes. Thicker towards here, sort of the rim of the eyelid, and some more eyelashes. Nice pointy eyebrows. And I might just do just the crease of the lips. And just a hint here, here. And then I might have overdid it, but yeah, I'm gonna leave that. I should push this sort of bit of fur to sort of overlap with the earring to sort of, again, push that earring into the background. Don't know if that'll do much, but I'm going with it. Okay, let's do these shoes. I could tell you what individual pen sizes I'm using for this if you're really interested, but probably won't help too much because every drawing's at a little bit different size. Every drawing has a little bit different feel to it. But I have a set here, 6. I use them all the time, in a sort of, as excuse me, as the need dictates. Like drawing high heels is a pain. It's curved just right. This paper, man, it's working against me. It's fighting me every step of the way. Okay, I don't know how long to make that sort of spike of the heel. So let's just leave that for a sec until we get this toe done. Alright, get this curve here. Alright, let's define this line a little more to sort of have the material of the shoe separate itself from that line of the foot. I hope these details show up in the video. This is sort of a test run for me. Okay, we're going to have this sort of rolled away just a bit so you can see just a little bit of the sole. Lines are wobbling. Okay. That there, and this here helps sort of emphasize the three-dimensionality of the shoe. Alright, I like that a lot. Have to have these sort of curves agree with each other. This one's pointing down, so it's going to curve down a bit. I don't know if that'll even show up on video, it's quite subtle. Alright, what do I have left to do? Well, yeah, I think I'm going to leave the rest for coloring, and hopefully my paints show up soon. I'm having some pretty nasty snowy weather, so I hope my shipment hasn't been delayed. But I hope you'll join me when I get down to watercolors, and thanks for watching.